if you run a 4-4 as a linebacker, let's look at Davion Taylor, who ran in the 4-4s. Okay, there's missteps all over the place. What the hell does that matter if you're 4-6 like TJ Edwards and you got instincts?
Right.
Who's the better player? Now, and that's, maybe I should have started there because that's so local and it's current. And you got one who's a 3rd-round pick because he can run. That's basically it. And the other who doesn't get drafted because he can't run. And the one who didn't get drafted because he can't run, and I put that in quotations, is the much better football player. And I got news for you. When people talk about ceilings, I'll say it right into the camera to Jody McDonald today. Mark it down with an asterisk. Davion Taylor will never be the football player TJ Edwards is. Never, never, never.
Is a post-Combine Monday here on Birds 365 with your Mac guys, John McMullen and Jody McDonald. It's an in-between week after the Combine ends, before the NFL year starts. You know what that means, rumors galore all over the place. We're here be to register them and comment on them and either confirm or deny them as best our sources tell us. John McMullen, Jody McDonald with you. J Mac, are you all 40 timed out?
Yeah, I am. Oh, yeah. I think I got credit for a 4-4-4, so everybody did. So why not throw me in the mix as well? Yeah, come on with them. I can't. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say, Jody. I can't believe people take this stuff so seriously. No matter how many times I tell them it's not important in the overall evaluation. Now, if you crap the bed, that's important. But the vast majority of guys don't crap the bed. On the other hand, if you do show up and you have one of the best 40 times in the history, which, a couple kids did, they'll go back to the tape and they'll look at, okay, is there something else? But if you can't play, you can't play. And I was talking to one scout yesterday, as a matter of fact, and he said, give me 20 snaps of tape over the combine numbers. 20. That's it. And I'll give you more information. Not a full game, not 3 games, not a season. 20. So I get it because the NFL plays it up and has turned it into this huge thing. But again, the combine was created for the medical evaluations, which, by the way, Jody, is the only information we don't get.
Right.
And that's the most important information, and by far the most important information. I mean, think about it. We're in 2022, and we're still talking about DK Metcalf, and nobody I shouldn't say nobody because we scream it from the top of the mountains. He was a medical red shirt. He was red flagged. 100 times. Now, Seattle decided it was worth the gamble. It worked out for him. But, this revisionist history of, they misevaluated DK Metcalf. Well, maybe they would have. I don't know. I can't tell you that. But it never got to that point because their doctor said, no, you can't look at this kid until day 3, period. End of sentence.
Well, then they misevaluated him. It could be a different type of misevaluation, but a misevaluation's a misevaluation.
Well, you know what I mean. Howie's getting, the credit or the blame, usually the blame, not the credit. And there are certain decisions, and Nick talks about medical decisions as well during the season. If the doctors say somebody can't go, they can't go. Now, in a different era, I always go to Jim Woods and Any Given Sunday, the movie,
right.
Where he was the stereotypical not the most above board doctor, and he would do anything to get him on the field. And in the 70s and the North Dallas 40 days, maybe that was the case. It's not the case today. It's not the case at all today.
Yeah, I think more North Dallas 40 than Any Given Sunday, but maybe that speaks to my age.
Well, I went the doctor route, yeah. Because Jim Woods was in North Dallas 40 then. They're just not as famous to the younger generation.
Right. But
better movie, though.
I was going to say, it's a better movie. So sorry, that's what I'm going to use as my reference.
Better movie.
Here's a funny thing that I realized about myself as I was watching all the combine stuff that I did this weekend. From a purely Eagle perspective, and I got bad news for you Eagle fans. You know, I'm also a Jet fan. I've been a Jet fan my entire life. So I want to see the Jets do well and the Eagles do well. I was actually rooting for Kyle Hamilton to run slow. Because if he ran fast, then you got guys going sub 4.3 and off the charts fast times, and everybody's eyes are bugging out because they're running so fast. And it seemed like, I said this on my CBS show over the weekend, and this is oftentimes just pure speculation, so I'll speculate with the best of them here. It seemed like a fast track this year. I don't know if we've just got better athletes and faster guys, and we are progressing as an athletic group of individuals as time goes on. That's just a fact, Jack. Players just get more athletic and faster over time. This seemed to be a pretty big leap with the fast times that you got in the 40s and the verticals and everything else. But on the 40s, it seemed like a fast track that everybody was running fast. Kyle Hamilton didn't run all that fast. And I was perfectly fine with that because, like you already said here today, give me a football player. Don't tell me what his 40. I'll look at his 40 time, and then I'll move on and give me a look at his tape and let me see what he actually did, how he actually performed on the field in a football game. You and I are both mega fans of Kyle Hamilton. Shoot, I think he may be the most talented player in this draft. Position aside, best player. If he had run slow, then maybe, just maybe, and I've seen at least 2 mock drafts, maybe not the top guys, but 2 mock drafts that had Kyle Hamilton falling down to the Philadelphia Eagles with their first pick at number 15. Between you and I, if it were my mock draft, there's no way. He's not making it out of the top 5 in my mock draft, so there's no way he comes down to the Eagles at 15. But at least you want to dream the dream that the Eagles wouldn't have to trade up to get him, that they could sit there and wait and take the best player at a position that they have a need, who I could make an argument for is the best football player at number 15. And Kyle Hamilton at least did me a solid by not burning up the field in Indy this week. He didn't run all that fast at 40.
Yeah, I mean, what did he run? 4.59? What was it?
Yeah, just under 4.6. That's when you've got corners and the other safeties out there running sub 4.3, 4.59 is actually pretty damn slow.
Yeah, well, that's one of those things where a little bit slower than I would have liked. No question about that. Yeah, I'm torn. You know how I feel about Kyle Hamilton by now, Jody, but I'm torn on, where he should go because of the fit and, are they going to use him correctly? So I guess my answer to that would be, well, if you're going to stick him up in too high safety and he's running a 4.59, maybe you got some issues. And unfortunately, there's too many teams that would want to do that. And that's so, Kyle Hamilton to me is like such a layered evaluation because you have to have the defensive coaching staff that realizes he's a moving piece. And then if you start to realize that, well, 4.59 is pretty stinking good for a linebacker. If he's playing up near the line of scrimmage, if he's playing, physical slot corner, it's not as big as an issue. If he's coming off the edge, if he's blitzing, it's not as big as an issue. So, yeah. And then you talk about football instincts. That's the first thing everybody talks about. And a guy I always bring up because it was such a weird dichotomy when I was covering Jack Del Rio. I'm aging myself. But I always, Jack Del Rio, I always say, was one of the best nickel linebackers I ever saw. And if he ran a 5, Jody, I don't know. Especially as he got later in his career and into his 30s. But, I mean, the guy was so instinctive. The guy understood what was going on. Maybe the better comparison more recently is Luke Kuechly. Was such just a natural, instinctive player. If you run a 4.4 as a linebacker, let's look at Davion Taylor, who ran in the 4.4s. Okay, there's missteps all over the place. What the hell does that matter if you're 4.6 like TJ Edwards and you got instincts?
Right.
Who's the better player? Now, and that's maybe I should have started there because that's so local and it's current. And you got one who's a third round pick because he can run. That's basically it. And the other who doesn't get drafted because he can't run. And the one who didn't get drafted because he can't run, and I put that in quotations, is the much better football player. And I got news for you. When people talk about ceilings, I'll say it right into the camera to Jody McDonald today. Mark it down with an asterisk. Davion Taylor will never be the football player TJ Edwards is. Never, never, never.
And if that's the case, the Eagles should be thinking about potentially taking a linebacker. If they are going to keep tradition going and not take one in the first round, then second round, they need an upgraded linebacker, and hopefully they recognize that and act upon it on this upcoming college draft. All right, another guy I wanted to talk about as far as defensive backs go, because they were the last ones to go. They went yesterday. They're fresh in our mind, and yes, the Eagles need to address defensive back a little bit more so it's safety than corner for me. You know, last year I was the guy who was probably acknowledged as the president of the Greg Ward fan club. That myself and Merrill Reese are the two biggest Greg Ward fans in town. And I always bemoaned the fact that I thought the Eagles mishandled them, misused them, and everything else. This year, and it may be short-lived, I'm probably the president of the Steven Nelson fan club. That I think he did a damn good job for them, and I would try and re-sign him. Yes, they're going to go out and either take a cornerback in the first round or spend even more money on a different cornerback that they will judge as being superior to Steven Nelson, which I need to see that guy before I suggest that that's a smart move by the Eagles. So mark me down as a Steven Nelson fan type guy. But if they don't bring back Nelson, then they absolutely have to take a cornerback in the first round. And we get responses here on Bird 365. Our stream guys were great. My calls to WIP, other calls to WIP. Everyone thought, Sauce Gardner could be a nice fit for the Eagles. They get Sauce Gardner at number 15 or 16, a plug-and-play guy. In no shot. Much like I think there's actually no shot for Kyle Hamilton dropping down to 15. There is no shot that Sauce Gardner is coming down that much. He absolutely wowed him at the combine the last day. And here's the one thing I would say about Sauce Gardner, because I had seen the guy in the uniform. I'd not seen him at the combine or whatever. I'm waiting for the Eagle Nation guys to say, wow, we can't draft a skinny kid like that. And they should be the same exact guys who question whether Devontae Smith could step into the National Football League and play because stiff wind comes by. Devontae Smith could get picked up and drop back in Alabama. Yes, he is not the biggest player in the National Football League. He's just a player. And I'll say the same about Sauce Gardner, but I saw him on the field over the weekend. He's as skinny as Devontae Smith, Johnny Mac. How can he possibly play in the National Football League?
Yeah, how about that? Yeah, you would think they'd get over that in Philadelphia. You're right. He's not going to be there at 15, number one. So, you know, I was talking to one scout specifically about Gardner. Now, here's my concern with Gardner, and it's, you know, more of an early concern. First of all, well, I have a lot of concerns with corners in Philadelphia. You know, you have to have Darius Slay. You have to have a Darius Slay mentality because you're going to get killed. You're going to get killed in this town playing cornerback because you're not allowed to play cornerback in the modern NFL. They make everything so difficult for you. Even the best corners get beat. And they get beat pretty consistently. And the best example of that is the NFC Championship game followed by the Super Bowl when the best corner got roasted twice. Mike Evans in the championship game, Jamar Chase in the Super Bowl, and that's Jalen Ramsey. That's the best corner. That's the best corner in the NFL. Deion Sanders doesn't exist anymore. They have legislated that out of the game. So in a market like Philadelphia, if you get taken in the top 10, now they're going to start this process at 15, 16, and 19, as always. That's where they're going to start. If they want to trade for somebody like Sauce Gardner, they'd have to move up probably. late top 10, 9, 10, somewhere in that range. Very similar to Devontae Smith. So once you place those expectations on top of the kid, and that's the one thing you mentioned how skinny he is, very similar to Devontae Smith as well, but he's really physical. And I got one guy telling me there's going to be flags aplenty early in his career because college is different than the pros in a lot of ways. One of the ways for corners, they're allowed to be much more physical at the college level than they are at the pro level. And they have a really difficult time sort of finding that balance. And, 3, 4 years down the road, it probably won't be that big of a deal. But if he were in Philadelphia and all of a sudden the flags started to come and he's getting beat and he's a top 10 pick, man, it would get ugly. It's not the right way to think, and Howie Roseman can't think this way. But if I'm the Eagles and I'm top 10, I know this is a different market than everywhere else. I don't even think about taking a corner in the modern NFL. And they would have, by the way, Jody, they would have taken a corner last year if one was on the board.
Right. It just so happened the board fell 8, 9. The two best corners just happened to get picked up right before, which I'm okay with that because, not that they're not good players, and I think they're going to be good players, it kind of pushed Howie Roseman into action to go, damn, both of our corners left. What am I going to do? Oh, let me trade up. Let me get Devontae Smith, which got Devontae Smith here to Philadelphia. So even though it was maybe a little disappointing in the moment, good for Howie Roseman. He reacted quickly and got a very good deal done.
And I think it worked out for him because I do not think it would have went as well. I mean, people in Philadelphia already love Devontae Smith. I do not think they'd be in that same. Now, they're both great players. Now, Horn got hurt early, so we don't know. And that's the guy the Eagles would have picked first and foremost. They liked him better than Patrick Surtain. Now, you can make the argument. Doesn't mean he's going to get hurt here. Surtain is, going to be a very good corner. But, man, I just don't think it would work in this town. I just don't think.
Here's the problem, John. Everything you just said is correct and right, and I think you've got your finger on the pulse of Eagle Nation and how they respond when players do what they're going to do on the field. Somebody's got to play cornerback. Either you, me, or some other one of however many hundreds of thousands of people who'd be better at it than either of us. Someone actually has to go out and play corner for the Eagles next year. So they're going to have to deal with, A, the rules of the National Football League, and B, the slings and arrows of Eagle fans. Howie Roseman can't just say, well, listen, we want to play 9-on-9. We don't really want to put anybody out there on the corner because
and that's why I said he can't.
Somebody's got to play corner. You might as well get the best one you can.
Yeah, and that's why I said he can't think the way I'm thinking, and he wasn't, to his credit, last year. As I said, he was going to take a corner, and he went out and traded for Darius Slay. And Darius Slay is as good as you're going to get in this town. I mean, that's it. That is the, that is the apex of the modern cornerback in this town. That's as high as you can go. So they already got a high level corner. And then they were able, as you mentioned, to fill in well with Steve Nelson. And by the way, I think they're drafting a corner. I think, whether it's McDuffie, if they stay in 15, 16 and say trade out of 19, I think they're going edge rusher and corner. So they're going to draft one, and you're going to see it live in living color. And I think whoever that poor kid is going to have some hurdles early in his career. And we saw it to a little bit to a lesser degree with Sidney Jones and Rasul Douglas. And Sidney, also had the injury issues on top of it. Just really, really difficult position to play anywhere, but especially in this town.
And who the Eagles going to take with that quarterback pick? Here's one thing I can guarantee you. It's not going to be Sauce Gardner. He will not be there by the time they pick.
No.
He will be well gone ahead of time. He was ranked above that line coming into the combine, and the impressive combine that he had is meaning for me that he's going to be a top 10 pick. So the Eagles have no chance to get a guy like that. I know people and Eagle Nation, I think, prides themselves on the fact that they are pretty good scouts. that they pay attention to college football, that they watch college football before we ever get to Senior Bowls and combines, when guys further their resume by looking good, playing good, opening eyes. I'll give Eagle fans a lot of credit. I was getting calls on Sauce Gardner back to November and December. Eagles need another young quarterback. This kid in Cincinnati is a player. They correctly identified him as someone who would make the Eagles better going forward. The problem is that the Eagles actually won 9 games, so their pick wasn't that good. The Dolphins got hot late. That pick turned out to be only okay. Yeah, the Colts choked it up late, so their pick is where it's at. Oh, yeah, none of the 3 Eagle first-round picks is going to be high enough to get their hands on a guy like Sauce Gardner. All right, a lot of positions we need to break down. You got the Monday after the Combine, before the NFL year starts, underway week here on Birds 365. We will get a guest up later on in hour number 2. We haven't talked to him in a while. Maybe it's because he shuffled off to Buffalo, but he was an Eagle guy for years for the Allentown Morning Call. Nick Fierro is going to hop aboard. He's going to talk all things NFL with us. We'll get his Eagle take, even though Buffalo is his number one ballywick these days, writing for the Sports Illustrated Buffalo Bills website. Nick Fierro a little bit later. More with Mac and Mac coming back next here on Birds 365.